Hey guys, I wanted to take a second to do a quick video on the Echo bike and the Assault bike and kind of why we've been picking the Echo bike and making a switch more towards that. Just a review between the two. It's important to understand that I'm looking at this from an affiliate owner perspective and not necessarily from a home gym or as like an end user perspective. So looking at it from a gym owner and a CrossFit affiliate owner perspective. One big thing, the big comparison between the two is price. Everybody always wants to know the price difference. There's not really a price difference between the two. They're both right around that $700, $750 range. You can catch them both on sale and get them for roughly around the same price. Also, you know, when you're looking at that amount of money, if there is a $50 difference, I don't think it's significant for that. So it doesn't really come into play. Price is kind of the same between the two. It's also important to know that they've came with several different versions of both of the bikes now at this point. So the Assault bikes, we have some of the older models. They've upgraded those and kind of made them a little bit better, maybe fixed some of the things that were a problem with them. In the past, they've gotten better at that. And then the Echo bike has done the same. So the Echo bike hasn't been around as long, but they're already in at least their second iteration of that. So they've improved the things that were wrong with that too initially. So this is our Assault bike. This is a newer version of it. We can tell because they added this bar on the front to help with portability. Now this is an older one here which doesn't have that. They also changed the pedals on a newer version of the Assault bike and another newer version that we don't have. They also made the monitor a little bit better. So from the old one here, which we've had some problems with in the past, to they now have a newer one that's it's a little bit better build quality, but the pedals are also a little bit different. We look for, that's a rubber plastic pedal, and then they've moved to more like metal, more durable pedal that's gonna last a little bit better. So one big difference between the two bikes is the Assault bike is chain driven versus the Echo bike being belt driven. So there's a big difference there in noise. You're gonna get a lot more noise with the chain than you do with the belt. And because it's chain driven, there's also a little bit more maintenance with that. So you're gonna have to be checking the tension of the chain, oiling the chain and that kind of thing, versus the belt. There is no maintenance with that. So there's another big difference between the two. And another reason that we've started moving more towards the Echo bike is the lack of, or I shouldn't say lack of, but less maintenance with the Echo bike versus the Assault bike. So the Echo, or the, the Assault bike's also a little bit smaller than the Echo bike. We have an Echo bike sitting right next to it, right behind that. You can see that it's quite a bit bigger. So if portability or something like that is an issue with you, if you're gonna be moving around a lot, maybe the Assault bike is a better option for you. They both have wheels on the front, so it's not a big deal to move them around, but the Echo bike is gonna be a little bit heavier. I think it weighs 142 pounds on Rogue's website, where the Assault bike is under 100. So, you know, about a 50-pound difference there if you're gonna be pushing this thing around and moving it around a lot. For us, it's not that big of a deal, even though we have 15 of them to move around at a time. Usually we can get people to help out in classes and stuff and move them around, so it's not a big deal with that. The frame of the Assault bike being a little bit smaller makes it fit a little bit better for your smaller athletes. So if you have someone that's say under 5'3", 5'2", the Assault bike is gonna fit them a little bit better. They're gonna have a better feeling of fit versus the Echo bike. The Echo bike's a little bit bigger, and I even ride my seat height a little bit lower on the Echo bike versus the Assault bike. So the Assault bike I'm on like a 5, the Echo bike I'm on a 4. So it fits a little bit bigger. Your smaller athletes might feel like they're kind of sitting a little bit lower on the bike, or they might not have as good of a fit as they do on the Assault bike. So that's one thing to consider as well if you're under that 5'2", 5'3". Another thing about the Assault bikes, again, going back with the maintenance, is here on where the pedals and attach and the crank and everything, it's all open. So as you can see, it's starting to rust a little bit there. That's from people sweating on it and that type of thing. It's just kind of exposed to the elements there. So you're gonna have some corrosion, and we've had some parts break, not necessarily because of the corrosion, but because of those parts being exposed. I think is a big reason there, but we've had these cranks down here which hook onto the pedal. We've had several of those break, and we've had to replace them. It's not an expensive part to replace them, but it is a nuisance when you have a bike that's out for a week or so while you're trying to order parts to get it. We've also had those kind of work loose a little bit. So I'll try to find one here that we've worked on where there started to be a gap. So you can see here, this one worked loose and there started to be a gap. So we added a washer on the inside to keep this arm from working back and forth and basically working that pedal off. And you hear a lot of like bouncing around and clanging with that. So we added that washer to deal with that. The Echo Bike, in comparison to that, is a sealed system. So all of that is sealed behind that plastic there, okay? So none of that's exposed to sweat, dirt, junk, all that stuff, dust that's flying around here, chalk and everything. So those parts are gonna stay a little bit cleaner. They're not gonna oxidize, they're not gonna rust like they do on the Echo Bike. So, or on the Assault Bike, excuse me. The parts in general with the Echo Bike are a little bit more sturdy. We've actually have had one of these apart. There was something that was loose in there, so we took it apart and tightened that back up. But the internal components, the screws they use, everything is a little bit bigger and a little bit bulkier, which is kind of Rogue's thing. They're known for building or overbuilding something. And when you're looking at it from a gym owner perspective, that's a good thing. It's something that I appreciate, even if it costs a little bit more up front, something that's gonna last, and then it's not gonna be a ton of maintenance. As far as the Echo Bike with their pedals, they've done the same thing as the Assault Bike did. They switched to this all metal pedal, which is a lot better. Some of our older ones, let me find the older one here, have that original plastic pedal. And you can see some of the rubber that was on there is coming off. So they fixed that already in their second version of the Echo Bike. The other thing that we've had a problem with on it is the seat, how the seat attaches. I don't know if you'll be able to see up in there, but how the seat attaches, you can see on this one over here. There's a little gasket on there that holds the seat on there, and that's been working off. So it's something that we've had to go back and mess with. That one's hanging off. On the new version of that, they fixed the attachment to the seat where it's stitched directly into it. So it'll hold up a lot better. So obviously that's kind of goes with Rogue, though. They're really good about, researching potential problems and then fixing those. So already happy with the two improvements from the newer bikes versus the older bikes there. The belt versus the chain, going back to that, the noise and the maintenance, the noise on the Echo Bike is a lot less. And those belts and chains are what are driving the fans. The fan is ultimately what's providing you resistance. With the Echo Bike, the fan blades are welded directly onto the wheel there. So there's no moving around, no sliding around of those. On the Echo Bike, another problem that we've had, or not the Echo Bike, dang it, I keep doing that. With the Assault Bike, the blades are attached down here. And I don't know if you can see that, but the fan blade is essentially attached to the spokes on the wheel. And there's just a little rubber gasket and a clip that holds that on there. And then that's what holds the fan blade to the spoke. So what we've had a problem with in the past is that coming a little bit loose and those fan blades getting turned. So when the fan blades get turned, they don't catch as much air. So the wheel spins faster, you get calories a lot easier, and it's not fair in comparison to the rest of them. So I think you can kind of see with this one, that fan blade's turned a little bit. So it's something that you need to be aware of with the Assault Bike. If you're using those in competition, if you're using them in your classes and stuff, that those blades do get turned. So you have to pay attention and make sure that you're going back and checking them and making sure they're not turned too much, because some of them are going to be easier than another. There's one that's really turned. Hopefully you guys can see that. So the Echo Bike's welded directly onto the wheel, so you don't have that. There's never going to be a blade that's turned. It's always going to be consistent across that. And I found this out, this is a funny story, so I'm going to tell it. I found this out because I was coaching a class, and another class had just finished. So the 3:30 class had just finished, and the 4:30 class was getting ready to start. And I heard somebody from the 3:30 class tell their buddy in the 4:30 class to get on bike number blah, 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 747 or whatever it was. So the serial number ending in 747 because it was easier. I'm like, well, what's going on? What's making that easier? I went over and I looked, and the fan blades were turned. So I pulled that bike out, and then we opened it up and fixed it, got them straightened out again. But then that was how I became aware of the problem. They were trying to help their buddy out, help him get a better score. So never want to make CrossFit easier, right? So for that reason, we've kind of switched, or all those reasons I should say, we've kind of switched over to the Echo Bike. So there is less maintenance with those. There's less parts breaking. We've had less issue with things breaking on them, and the newer version of them, really, I haven't found a single problem with. Like I said, the older version, we had those problems with the pedals and with the gasket underneath the seat. So I haven't had any problems with the newer ones. I think it's just a bigger, beefier machine. So for our purposes, that's a lot better. Rogue overbuilt it again, which is awesome. The Assault Bike, while it's a good machine, for the money and the money being like roughly the same, we're gonna go with the Echo Bike just because of the build quality being a little bit better, being the components and stuff are sealed up, so they're not gonna rust and stuff as well. Plus I also think the Echo Bike has a little bit nicer of a monitor. That reminds me, there's a third thing that I didn't like about the original ones, and that was that they had a 3-second countdown when you turned on the monitor. That's gone away too on the new version, so that's not a big deal. But that's why we like the Echo Bike better. That's why we've went to purchasing those. When we're getting new bikes, we're purchasing the Echo Bikes and not Assault Bikes. We're still using the Assault Bikes. They're still a great conditioning tool. Still fixing them when they go wrong. But for our money, when we're investing in new ones, we're going with the Echo Bike, and that's for those reasons. Hope that was helpful. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, wanted to take a second to do a quick video on the Echo Bike and the Assault Bike and kind of why we've been picking the Echo Bike and making a switch more towards that. Just a review between the two. It's important to understand that I'm looking at this from an affiliate owner perspective and not necessarily from a home gym or as like an end user perspective. So looking at it from a gym owner and a CrossFit affiliate owner perspective. One big thing, the big comparison between the two is price. Everybody always wants to know the price difference. There's not really a price difference between the two. They're both right around that $700, $750 range. You can catch them both on sale and get them for roughly around the same price. Also, you know, when you're looking at that amount of money, if there is a $50 difference, I don't think it's significant for that. So it doesn't really come into play. Price is kind of the same between the two. It's also important to know that they've came with several different versions of both of the bikes now at this point. So the Assault Bikes, we have